The locations of our offices in the north of Scotland means that we've got an understanding of what the community is doing, is feeling, is working on, and so what we did a few years ago was we identified that lots of our clients fell into a generic space that some of them called the blue economy, some of them called a particular sector, whether it be aquaculture, fishing, shipping, ports and harbours. We put a badge on this being the marine economy, and it seemed to capture properly what lots and lots of our clients, particularly in the north of Scotland, not exclusively, particularly in the north of Scotland, are doing in terms of how they make their living, what their generational families, how they've made their living, but also taking back the point about sustainability and the environments and harnessing just the natural capital of the north of Scotland particularly. It felt to us that was the right thing to how to talk to our audience and how to badge it as a market. In terms of the Green Freeports, more recently, so part of marine economy for us has always been ports and harbours. We've done a lot of work on ports, harbours, infrastructure associated with that, redevelopment, diversification of those strategic assets. I mentioned earlier that there's 11 main ports in Scotland and more than 200 ports and harbours in Scotland, with the coastline being vast. So the ports and harbours bit has always been part of our marine economy practice, and then of course when the Green Freeports were announced in the back of the Finance Act 2 or 3 years ago now, I knew that we needed to be part of that because it was going to generate such a lot of attention, activity and enthusiasm, and in terms of where our offices are based, clearly that's we're right at the heart of that. So I think the first thing to say is that Scotland is a smaller country with 5.5 million people, give or take. We have got 2 Green Freeports, as we know, and I think from what we've heard from both of the chief executives of those Freeports is that they intend to be working collaboratively. I think the supply chain, the decision makers in Scotland, the influencers in Scotland are all pretty close. It doesn't take them long to get to the people you need to know. So on an international stage, I think it's going to be Scotland against the world, and I think that helps to ensure there's not divisiveness and too much competition going on between the 2 Green Freeports. From a rest of UK basis, I think it's more about our natural capital, it's about our geographic location in terms of how we can serve the assets and the deep waters that we have to serve those assets. It's part of our initiative with having deep relationships with law firms in other jurisdictions. What we're finding is that the 2 Green Freeports are really capturing interest from overseas law firms as something to talk to their investor clients about, because what we've already seen is that there's substantial and serious international money being pumped into the Green Freeports in Scotland. So I think our natural capital speaks for itself. The wealth of those assets, the numbers of the ports and harbour infrastructure piece that I gave you earlier, I think that should all serve to ensure that we're top of the pecking order when it comes to the competitive piece. There's different categories, I would say, but ultimately it comes down to jobs, improved infrastructure, the supply chain that they can deliver for that local piece, which in turn ties back to some of the jobs piece. I think ultimately, if you retain wealth or create wealth in an area, that's got to ultimately be good for the communities. Anything that can be done to ensure that they see their futures, careers, not just jobs, in that local environment has to be good, and that has to be good at keeping them there.